Welcome to 3 Point Play Sports. I'm your host, Louis Stanridge, and joining me on the video, per usual, my co-host, Kyle Verska.
No weird name calling intro?
I mean, we haven't done that in a while.
I don't think that's true. You can call me Christmas King of the podcast if you want. I'm cool with that.
What's Christmas King? What is that?
I beat you last week during Christmas week, so
Oh,
that's a good thing.
congrats. I think for the most part, I saw a lot of people had good weeks last week. Considering I went 9-7, that says something about your picks.
It says they were better than 9-7. 10-6. 10-6, which gives me my 5th win of the year over you. Out of 11 or 16 tries.
Honestly, the sticking with the Saints on Monday night might have been one of the dumbest plays of the year.
You were just really thinking Ian Book was going to come through, and instead he had one of the worst games you'll ever see.
Well, I mean, I should have known the week started 3-0 for underdogs. You had Thursday night and then both Saturday games where the dogs covered, and it wasn't meant to be the whole primetime schedule. So
It's pretty insane that both the Titans and the Browns, because the Niners were up 10-0 at halftime, just completely controlling that game. A.J. Brown did nothing in the first half and then just nuked the Niners in the second half. And, I mean, shouts to the Titans for getting that win. They needed to. But then the Browns to cover after Baker threw 4 interceptions is crazy.
not ideal. Definitely.
Yeah. The Packers just can't put anyone away. It's really strange.
That I think they've got to be one of your top 2 teams going into the playoffs that you want to fade, and they'll probably get a favorable matchup in the first round, but I'm not taking them past the second round at this point.
Well, so they're probably going to get the bye, so they don't play till round 2.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So
So I don't know what you're trying to say here. Are they going to go 1 and out?
I mean, depending on the matchup, obviously they got. Well, I don't know if you'd say they got lucky. They played Wolford instead of Goff last year in was it round 1? I don't know if there was a substantial difference, but
No, I didn't. I thought Goff came back for that game.
no, I'm pretty sure it was Wolford.
Okay, so Goff came back for the first playoff game then?
I don't
Goff
remember.
played in the playoffs last year.
I just remember the Packers beat. I think you're because I think the Rams beat Seattle in round 1.
I think Wolford got hurt in round 1, so they had to play Goff in his broken thumb.
Maybe you're
Who
right.
cares? Who cares?
I mean, either way,
The game, whatever.
the Packers either got Goff or Wolford, and this year, we'll see if they're as lucky. But I'm not counting on it.
They're looking at probably. I mean, if everything plays out how it should, they're going to get. I guess the NFC. No, the NFC. God, who's going to get the 4 seed? The 4 seed is going to be a good team. It's either going to be the Bucks, the Cowboys, or the winner of the West.
The standings on both sides have changed so much week to week. I'm not even going to venture a guess until really the dust settles, because I mean we probably have a good handle on 1 and 2, but 3 through 7, good luck.
Yeah. All right. Let's recap last week real quick, our abridged podcast. I went 2-1 on my locks. I got the Colts and Bears, missed the Steelers. You went 1-2. You hit the Browns and then lost the Jags and Saints. And what just a terrible Jags non-cover, by the way. I tallied these up. I'm 22-26 on my locks, so not terrible. You're 19-26. We're missing week 13 whenever weird happened, and I did a podcast, and I don't know. So no locks were reported that week for you. Thursdays, you wanted me to tally this up. You are 10-8 after last week's win on Thursdays. That was the final Thursday game. I'm 6-12. That's a 10-8 for you, going 0-3 on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
so that's better 10-8. You should probably at least be 11-7.
That's
0-3 on Thanksgiving.
That's probably why it seemed like it was better than 10-8, because I probably just forgot about Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think you finished 3-1 after Thanksgiving. Dog of 3.5 or more to win outright. We both won last week. I had the Dolphins on Monday night, and that was before
The line flip.
yeah. And then so that's back to back for me. And then you had the Bears on just an absolute meltdown from the Seahawks. I haven't tallied that one up. I can do real quick. 5-6, 5-7, 6-7, 7-7. I'm 8-8 on dogs 3.5 or more to win outright. You have hit 2-3. You're 3-13.
I think I'm a little bit more ambitious.
Sorry, 3-12 because again, week 13 was not reported.
Yeah.
Highest scoring team. I had the Chargers. You had the Colts. I got that one correct. I'm crushing you in that, but that means nothing. And then week to week bets, we were both wrong. I had all of that scoring in the Cincinnati game and all those guys who go off. I had Chase for 2+ touchdowns. It was Higgins instead, and Chase still had a great game. And then you had Trevor Lawrence with 3+ passing touchdowns, and he had 0.
He is just, it's almost like he's purposely not trying to score touchdowns. I saw some wild statistic, and I don't have it in front of me, but I think like goal to go like within the 5-yard line or something like that in that situation, he has been horrendous at scoring touchdowns. And it's just, I like to think it's not the talent. I want to blame the coaching staff because it seems like the more obvious thing, but goodness gracious, maybe he's just punted on the year and he's just kind of like half-assing it. I don't know. Obviously, we'll see how he does next year, but my goodness, it has been painful.
And normally we would eliminate teams here, but we are a week ahead of ourselves. So we need to eliminate our final teams next week, which is probably going to be pretty easy. It's probably going to be the Browns, and then it's going to have to be an NFC West team. But the Rams and Cardinals have already clinched a playoff berth, so it's either going to be the Niners or the Vikings or the Eagles next week.
I can't wait to talk some Trey Lance when we get to the Niners. But
all right, so that's where we're at heading into week 17, which is not the last week.
Week 17. So the last, I would say, 90% of teams are trying, 95% of teams are trying this week. So it's the last overall strong effort week for every team. And
I guess we need to define trying.
Actually caring about winning the game. Whereas week 18, you're going to get, 4 or 5 teams at least that probably sit their starters?
I would assume that you said 95% care. I'm going to go under.
Right. This week for week 17?
Yeah, why do the Lions want to win? They need to lose. Why do the Jags want to win? They need to lose. They're race for the first pick.
Here's the thing that I've come to realize, especially in last week and maybe even going back 2 or 3 weeks, is that every time you want to discount the Falcons, the Lions, the Jaguars, the Jets, why do they care about winning? They go out and they win the effing game. And it's just, why? And it makes no logical sense. So I feel like you have to throw that narrative out the window. And it's just even going back to last year with Gase winning those 2 games with the Jets and coming down off the number 1 draft pick. And it's just that made no sense whatsoever. That was some stupid shit. And so I think just thinking these teams are going to do the smart thing and not try to win or not care about winning, I think that goes out the window. I think the only teams I can count on not caring are the top 2 seeds in both conferences because they're actually resting players. I think there's going to be effort from the Lions at minimum all the way through the end of the season.
All right. Well, I mean, we'll see. I'm just saying that, it's different. I'm sure the front office doesn't want to win, but, I mean, they can't make the players not want to win.
I just think that narrative has been destroyed and debunked the last 2 years. So
okay.
Let's definitely kick it off though with probably teams on both sides of that argument. The Atlanta Falcons 7-8 on the road to face the Buffalo Bills 9-6. No Thursday games this week, so we got early Sunday afternoon to kick us off.
No Saturday games either. Getting out of the way of the dumb fucking Rose Bowl.
Yeah, so we've got 15 games on Sunday, just a massive slate.
Yep. Good luck. It's what Red Zone's made for. Apparently, I don't watch it.
Well, I won't be watching as I don't have it this year either. So Falcons at Bills. Falcons theoretically a team that should do the best thing for the future and tank these last two games. Although it may not matter if they want to try or not. The Bills still absolutely need to win the last 2 weeks because the division's on the line, playoff spots, home field advantage are on the line. Who do you like in this one?
Before I make a pick, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Where do you think the Falcons rank in the NFC in terms of point differential?
I feel
7-8. You're 7-8.
Yeah, I've heard several people mention this. I want to say they've got to be in the NFC bottom 3.
They are second worst. Yeah. They have been outscored by 122 points, and they're 7-8. That's impossible. Only the Lions are worse, and they're just worse by 5 points.
I believe it.
Incredible. So on the flip side of that, you have the Bills, who are number 1 in point differential in the entire league. I think
go figure.
The Falcons are 5th the worst. Yeah, well, that was the thing I said last week. The Bills either just blow you out or they lose.
And you nailed it.
Yeah. I'm taking the Bills. I don't know. This Bills team was set up to stop the Chiefs' passing game, which we've talked about a lot this year. And the Falcons are like the worst team in the league at running the football. Yeah. So if they're going to have to throw against one of the best secondaries in the league, good luck. I'll take the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, this would really be some stupid shit for the Falcons to keep this within like a touchdown. And so really the question is, will that hook on the 14 come back to bite us? But to your point, you brought it up last week, the Bills, if they win, they cover, they usually are blowing teams out. And I can't help but wonder if the Bills are this year's Bucks, the way we saw the Bucks go through the regular season last year and kind of never a few games they really took care of business and impressed, but they never really got that level of consistency that you bought into, and so they were a road team all through the playoffs. I feel like the Bills could be there because they have the talent level on both sides of the ball. They can absolutely hang with any team, and they just haven't had the consistency, much like the Bucks did in the regular season last year. I'm taking the Bills as well, and just hoping that hook doesn't come back to bite us.
Counterpoint: are this year's Bucks the same as last year's Bucks?
I think the main difference though is last year's Bucks were relatively healthy, and this year's Bucks.
Okay, I just meant performance on the field. They get shut out by the Saints. They lose 3 out of 4 or 2 out of 3, whatever it was. And anyway, I understand what you're saying.
I think it's more so in terms of the talent is there. There's not really any reason why they shouldn't be more consistent. It's just hasn't clicked. So, yeah. All right, so Bills, and that would effectively, I believe, knock the Falcons out of playoff contention. Yeah. Next game up, New York Giants, just screwing me over every week. On the road to face Chicago Bears. Bears here -5.5 home favorites. Of course, they pulled off the upset that I called last week on the road in Seattle. Giants, I don't know if it's Glennon or Jake Fromm. I don't know if it matters. But you've got Justin Fields on the other side.
Do you? It's not going to be Foles?
Oh, is it? Oh, I forgot. Foles did play last week. I'm rolling with the Giants here. I just feel like 5.5 is a lot for this Bears team. And to be honest, I just feel like I've picked the Giants the last couple weeks and it hasn't come through, and I'm just going to ride them because I really can't count on the Bears to distance themselves and win 2 in a row. Look, I mean, I would prefer to just stay away from this game entirely because you're not going to feel confident, I think, either way. But I'd rather take just the Giants and with the points.
Giants point totals last 6 games: 10, 13, 9, 21 at the Chargers, 6, 10. So that's what you're looking at.
Not great.
No, I don't want to see a single second in this game. I'm just going to take the Bears because their defense is the only sort of above average unit on either side of the ball here. So the Giants are a mess. They can't move the ball whatsoever. I'll just take the Bears to do something stupid and win 13-6.
I don't know if I've ever brought this up, but are these kinds of games the last 2 weeks of the season, if you're in one of these home markets, do you just show an actually competitive, important game instead? Or do you just have to show?
You have to show the home team. If you don't show the home team, you're going to get so much hate mail and hate calls. You have to show the home team.
Yeah, all right. I think if the Cowboys were 4-11, I think I'd rather watch somebody else. Next game up, Kansas City Chiefs 11-4 on the road to face Cincinnati Bengals 9-6. Bengals here plus 4.5. Chiefs have been steamrolling. I believe the last month plus. They're absolutely on fire. Bengals looked as impressive as they did the first month of the season last week. They really just owned the Ravens this year. I believe they've won both games by 20 plus points, something like that. Bengals potentially, if they play up to that level, could be contenders with the Chiefs. Who do you like in this one?
I'm going to lock the Chiefs. Bengals, shout out to them for just throwing hellfire on that completely depleted Ravens secondary. Chiefs have been playing so well lately. I think they've won 7 straight. And we're in this point now where essentially where we were heading into the season, where the same 4 teams entering the year had the best Super Bowl odds, and now they're back after just some swoons by everybody. Chiefs defense playing so well. Offense has really learned and gotten patient over the last month plus, as you talked about. So I love the Chiefs here. Bengals getting a lot of love, and last time they got a lot of love, they lost to the Jets.
Yeah, well, I think that's the nature of a young team, and
sure.
That's
nature
why
of young teams also to be inconsistent. I think is what you're saying.
That's true. I think this is going to be a very much back and forth match. I think the Chiefs are due for a close game, and I think the Bengals here, by covering this game, can kind of build up some confidence in the betting public. This is not. I could definitely see this as a type of game where the Bengals win this on a last-second field goal, win by 1 or 2, and then they rematch in the playoffs, and the Chiefs just destroy them. That kind of thing. So that's what I anticipate here. Chiefs just one more letdown. They take care of business next week. Are they the 1 seed currently?
They are currently the 1 seed, yes.
Yeah, so in theory, I think they can lose this game, or 4.5, you still get more than a field goal, so could keep it close. So especially with the Bengals, I really want to buy into the Chiefs, and I think I am more so than not, but I have to think this team is somewhere in the middle between the crap defense they were at the beginning of the season and the really top 8 defense they've been the last month. I feel like they're probably more, closer to average. And the Bengals, the way they were playing with their hair on fire last week, I think some of that carries over. Next game up, we've got the Miami Dolphins 8-7.
Hold on. I had another point. You said the Chiefs, due to play a close game, they just went to overtime 2 weeks ago. So
where they won by.
They won by a touchdown, but it's still a close game if you go to overtime.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking more of a field goal. Miami Dolphins 8-7, winners of.
If they won the game in overtime by a field goal, you'd be like, yeah, that was a close game. But because they walked it off, you're like, not a close game.
Right.
Okay, makes sense.
Dolphins, winners of 7 straight. Just an incredible run here. On the road, face Tennessee Titans 10-5. Titans here -3.5. It really feels like the Titans have fallen off a cliff since Henry went out for the year, but I guess it's surprising to still see them at 10-5, a tribute to how they were the first half of the season. I'm rolling with the Titans here. I'm just going to keep fading the Dolphins until they lose. I just think, 7 straight, obviously impressive. But if you actually look at the quarterbacks that they've played, it's not exactly murderer's row. I believe those are all like bottom 10 quarterbacks. I think Tannehill is probably closer to middle of the pack. And the fact that this is in Tennessee, just a lot of small factors contributing. But for the most part, I just think the Dolphins are due for a loss. So.
Okay, well, you go ahead and I mean, the Dolphins can still lose and cover, which I'm taking the Dolphins here because the Dolphins' defense is so good and the Titans very limited on offense. I mean, good for them for getting A.J. Brown last week and getting him going. That Niners secondary is a complete mess as well, and they were, again, shut out for the first half. So this is going to be a low-scoring, ugly affair, and I'll take the 3.5 here. Just going to be the Dolphins' defense playing so well, and Tannehill has been truly horrendous since losing Derrick Henry.
I think we haven't mentioned in a while perhaps how good that front four for the Titans has been at certain times this year, and I have shown you that the Dolphins' offensive line has great.
How do you have a grade of 0? What does that even mean?
That means they are dead.
Zero. What does 0 mean?
Dead last in protection grade, pass protection grade.
But is everybody who is 32nd on a year-to-year basis, is their grade 0 or is their grade like 7 sometimes?
I think it's 0. I think it's a 0.
It can't be.
Anyway, whatever. The point being, they're dead last. That's really the point you need to take away there. And I feel like
very much a point that deserves to be made.
Titans front four, I think they can cause some turnovers here and put them in position, even with that limited offense. But I think really A.J. Brown opens it back up for them. You see how much of a monster he can be. And
I know that Dolphins secondary is nasty.
Is it? Didn't you just say last week they're like 8th worst?
Doesn't sound like something I would have said.
I think it is.
Okay.
We talked because I talked about how teams usually run on the Dolphins, but you said the rush defense is actually pretty good this year, and I said that's probably because teams would rather just throw on them this year.
Dolphins somewhere around 18th against the pass.
Okay, I feel like maybe that has something to do with playing Ian Book.
Well, sure, that undoubtedly helped, but fine, they fell from 15th to 18th, or I'm sorry, like 21st to 18th.
Okay. Las Vegas Raiders next game up, 8-7 on the road to face Indianapolis Colts, 9-6. I mean, I gotta think the Raiders have probably a small shot at the playoffs. 8-7, they win their last two, 10-7.
They do. They can still get there.
Tall task here though, on the road to face the Colts. Colts are -7.5. Who do you like?
That's so many points for the Colts against a team that like has a pulse. I'm gonna take the Raiders. I do think the Colts win this game and continue marching, but unvaccinated Carson Wentz in COVID protocol, which is a problem.
Yeah.
So I'll take the Raiders plus 7.5. The Colts offense is. It would take a lot for them to cover 7.5 against a team that's pretty average.
Yeah, another former Longhorn quarterback, Sam Ehlinger, possibly going to get this.
Oh, no. Please give him the start. Right-handed Tim Tebow, give him the start.
Though, I don't know if you've seen this, because the CDC has cut down the quarantine from 10 to 5 days, that potentially opens it up now for these guys that test positive, that go into COVID protocol, to come back within the same week. So that really means Wentz has a realistic chance of coming back.
Yeah. But he needs to not be symptomatic and produce negative tests, and he's unvaccinated. So,
I'm rolling with the Colts here. I might change it if Ehlinger is the guy, but I really think the Colts rely so much on that running game. And we saw Taylor get 100-plus yards with 4 backup offensive linemen against the Cardinals. This Raiders team, I saw some stats on their offense after Ruggs has left the team. If you remember, that seems like so long ago. The offense it seems like it averages, I think, between 14, 17 points a game. It's been bottom half of the league, and I got to say, between the last 2 weeks, barely beating the depleted Browns, and then barely beating, I forget who they played last week, the Broncos with Drew Lock. They're not really instilling a lot of confidence. So I think the Colts should be able to take care of 7.5.
You're going to need quarterback to make a play or two, and I just don't trust it.
Just defense and running game. That's all you need against the Raiders team.
Okay.
Next game up, the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2-13. Team
so many huge lines.
On the road to face New England Patriots. Patriots here 9-6. Patriots minus 15.5.
God.
Who do you like in this one?
Bill Belichick annihilates rookie quarterbacks, right? I guess I'm just going to take the Patriots to just wreck shop in this game and win something like 24-3.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you need. The Jaguars couldn't they couldn't get into the end zone with 4 shots from the 5-yard line against the Jets. And including did you see the end of that game? I mean, I hope you didn't.
No,
because it's Jaguars Jets, but Trevor Lawrence scrambles 26 yards down in the 5-yard line, gets out of bounds.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
play.
I did see that particular play because he could have, in theory, run for the end zone.
But if he gets tackled, they're done. So it's no. Great play to run out of bounds. Great play. Next play, incomplete. Next play hits defender right in the chest and goes to Marvin Jones, who catches it at the 1-yard line. So then there's 15 seconds left. They stupidly run up and spike it on 3rd down. It's dude, there's 15 seconds left. You have plenty of time. And also, you're a 6'6" quarterback. Just run a quarterback sneak. So, just a disaster. They spike it, incomplete, lose the game. Their offense is a travesty. Pats, I'm going to run all over them. I'll take Pats. That's where I'm at.
The one thing that I've brought this up before, but for the most part, it hasn't been relevant, is the Jaguars have, if they do one thing half well, I would say it's their rush defense. And to your point, I completely could see the Patriots just winning this 30-3.
I think they gave up 200 rushing yards last week to the Jets.
Well, then that really kind of washes away my point. I'm gonna bank on the Jags getting lucky.
Yeah, they're around 25th in the league in terms of yards per game.
Okay. I'm going to bank on the Jags just getting lucky. I believe they've lost 7 straight against the spread. So I think sooner or later you just get lucky. It's one of those matchups that, I say this probably every other week. It doesn't make a lot of sense. You make a lot of good points, but I just bank on the team catching a few lucky breaks. And probably the Patriots not caring, but I do know Belichick is not shy of running.
Win.
Yeah, I know they want to win, and I'm sure they'll probably put this game away in the first half, and then that just leaves it for the Jags to try and peck away. Look, 15.5, but the Patriots could be up 21-0, 24-0 for most of the game, and then you get a couple field goals, a touchdown, something. I mean, the Patriots could just not care. That's just what I'm banking on.
All right.
It's more so the Jags are just due to catch a couple breaks, and a lot of people probably relying on your narrative, and so playing the contrarian play is that's not going to happen.
All right, here's my week-to-week bet: Lawrence 3+ INTs in this game.
That's actually a pretty good one. Next one up, Tampa Bay Bucks 11-4 on the road to face New York Jets 4-11. Jets here plus 13.5 home underdogs. Before the season, I had everybody in our fantasy league pick a team to win the Super Bowl, but it couldn't be the Chiefs, it couldn't be the Bucks. And then halfway through the season, it seemed like, well, that kind of worked out because we don't have to worry about those two. But now we've come full circle, and now it looks like we may just have a repeat Super Bowl, and nobody's going to win the pot because they couldn't take the Bucks or the Chiefs. I got to think those two, probably along with the Bills and the Packers, are top 4.
You know how you can avoid that? Maybe just only cancel the team. that way somebody does have a chance. Instead, if we get to the Super Bowl and nobody has a chance, like, great job.
I mean, what would you put the odds at of actually a repeat matchup?
Well, considering they were the two favorites for the Super Bowl and they're in opposite conferences, pretty high.
I honestly think, though, it's like 20%.
Well, I mean, that's pretty high. It's
so
not
80% chance that somebody's other than the Bucs or Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl.
Just saying.
Yeah. If you had to bet right now, what would you take? Bucs or Chiefs or the field?
Like Bucs and Chiefs make the Super Bowl, or one of them wins the title?
One of them wins the title.
I like them more than I like any other teams, so I would take them.
All right. Fair enough. All right. So Bucs.
I'm taking the Bucs in this game. I have no clue. The Jets are just a travesty offensively. So just the Bucs. The Bucs, good job by them showing up last week and, coming off that horrendous shutout at the hands of the Saints and crushing the Panthers 32-6. The Jets are on par with the Panthers, so similar outcome for me.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bucs as well, mainly because I don't bank on the Jets covering 2 in a row, but I think the fact is that the Jets almost won that game against the Jags by default because the Jags, as we've said many times already, just couldn't get out of their own way. I mean, you had Zach Wilson with a 50-yard rushing. One of the most embarrassing defensive plays. Did you see? Like, he broke 4 tackles that weren't even that hard, and it's just like, what's going on?
Another defender thought he was just going to run out of bounds, so he gave up, and then Wilson tiptoed and stayed in. God.
That was really embarrassing. And so you take away that touchdown, and then you give the Jags any one of the many touchdowns that they should have had, and that game maybe goes the Jags' way. So I'm taking the Bucs. Obviously, we thought maybe there were some offensive limitations going into last week without Godwin, and clearly they took care of business. So it's not an issue, I think. Next game up, Philadelphia Eagles 8-7 on the road to face Washington professional football team, who may not even be a professional football team after the Sunday night game. Washington plus 3.5 home dogs. Who do you like?
We just watched the Bengals rain hellfire on the Ravens, and the Rams passing game can do that too. I'm going to take the Ravens if Lamar plays. If Lamar doesn't play...
I'm on the Eagles, Washington.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Skipped one. Yeah, for me, this is just the Eagles. The Washington seems to have packed it in. Actually, I'm talking myself into Washington here. There's no way... Like, they're not as bad as what happened last week. They started out, I think, they threw an interception on their first play of the game, and then all of a sudden the Cowboys are up 14-0, and it just got worse from there. I think they'll bounce back and be competitive in this game.
Yeah, I'm taking Washington as well. I think there's so much narrative and public perception that, like, you don't want to touch Washington this week. But I really think this is a spot to bounce back. It's just there's a lot of professional pride with a team that hasn't been as bad as they played on Sunday night. Coming into this, you come back home, and it's just like, okay, let's get back to what we were doing. And I think 3.5, it's not a lot, obviously, but I absolutely think they could win this game. I mean, the Eagles have been fairly inconsistent. They've definitely looked good at certain times. Of course, 8-7, that kind of bears out. That's very representative of how their season has been. And, yeah, I'm just going to bank on Washington, so bouncing back. Plus 3.5. I'm going to lock it.
Wow. All right.
Next matchup. Los Angeles Rams 11-4 on the road to face Baltimore Ravens 8-7. Ravens here plus 3.5, and I know you were just talking about this one.
Yeah.
I do want to mention that the Ravens, I believe, are currently the 7th seed, so if they don't win this, they're very much in jeopardy of missing the playoffs. But considering that they have lost, their top 3 running backs. And
they're currently the 8th seed. They're tied with the Dolphins. The Dolphins have the tiebreaker.
Okay. So they've lost their top 3 running backs, and from what seems like the last month, they've been without their top 4 cornerbacks. And then, of course, without their quarterback.
And without their top 2 quarterbacks last week.
Yeah, just what a season for the Ravens. So Ravens here plus 3.5. Who do you like?
Like I was saying earlier, we just watched the Bengals rain hellfire on the Ravens. The Rams can do that too. I'm taking the Ravens if Lamar plays. If Lamar doesn't play, I'll take the Rams. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. It does say something about the foundation of the Ravens, which probably very similar to the Colts, speaking to how well it's run when you can suffer so many losses and still have depth to be competitive almost any given week. I think, though, it's made it seem like Lamar's absence hasn't been as big of a deal, but I do think I'm with you. If Lamar does play, I'll take the Ravens. If he does not play, I'll take the Rams. The Rams, the biggest thing for me is going from West Coast to East Coast. They should be able to throw on anybody, and the Ravens have probably the bottom 2 pass defense now with so much of the loss in the secondary.
It's got to be last now.
Yeah, after 500 plus yards from Burrow.
Yeah.
You have to think the Rams
last 10 yards.
The Rams should be able to replicate something like that, but I'm going to go contrary to the narrative and just bank on Lamar coming back.
Yeah, and even when you think about that Ravens-Packers game, the Ravens really didn't do much until garbage time in the fourth quarter, and then Huntley put up 2 touchdowns, and then they had a 2-point conversion to try and win. But, they really didn't do much until the Packers just started playing prevent, which, as we say, only prevents you from winning.
All right. Next game up, Denver Broncos 7-8 on the road face Los Angeles Chargers 8-7. This team should be 10-5.
Was that just Phillip Rivers sprinkling his Phillip Riversness on that last week? Is that what happened?
I don't know.
What a disaster! How do you just get annihilated by the Texans?
It's a good question. I still don't know. It wasn't even close. They lost by 20. So, Chargers minus 5.5 here. Mainly because Drew Lock is still the quarterback for the Broncos. I'm going to take the Chargers. I think this is a bounce back game. I think really it's even harder for me to rectify in my brain the fact that the Chargers could drop to 8-8, considering how well they played for long stretches this season. So I imagine if they win this game, 5.5 is a very reasonable number to cover. So I'm gonna take the Chargers, and it's 50% fading Drew Lock, 50% Chargers have to win this game. I can't imagine them not being in the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you exactly. If it's Drew Lock, which it looks like it's going to be, I'll take the Chargers as well. We talk about how well the Chargers have been playing. They've been outscored by 3 points this year, and they're 8-7. So it all lines up. They're exactly where they should be based on all the underlying metrics. I don't know what the hell that was last week. That took over the Saints win over the Packers in Week 1 as the dumbest win of the year.
Yeah, and then the Jets over the Bengals, probably up there.
Yeah, but even then, you can kind of make sense. The Bengals are at least a young team. These other than Herbert, this has been the Chargers for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I think something important to note is Derwin James, I believe, was out, and he is definitively their best defensive player. And so if he's back this week, which I believe he will be, that's a massive.
Yeah, that's whenever Travis Kelce started going on Thursday weeks ago.
Yep. All right, next game up, the aforementioned Houston Texans on the road to face San Francisco 49ers. Texans, 4 wins this year. I don't know if I had them pegged. In our over-under sheet, I might have had them pegged for 3 max, maybe 2. But here they are, 4-11 on the road to face San Francisco 49ers with Trey Lance minus 14.5. And I'm just going to say the most frustrating thing will be this feels like a no-win situation for me, because if Trey Lance goes off, then I have to seriously consider keeping him in fantasy because of the potential. But if he bombs, then it's like, well, then I feel look even dumber for having drafted him, because he's absolutely produced nothing all year. So I feel like it's a lose-lose situation for me. Having said that, I'm going to take the Niners minus 14.5. I think it's going to be running 40 different times between, the different running backs and Trey Lance. And I think the Texans replicating an upset performance like they did last week is going to go out the window. I think very much we're going to be fading and contrary to the narratives this week.
I'm with you on the exact same line of thinking. However, we might get 2 long Brandon Cooks touchdowns in this game if he's playing. I think he missed last week due to COVID.
Oh, okay.
So if that happens and the Texans put up 14, they've got a really good chance of covering. But I think the Niners just run all over them and suffocate them. The Texans, here's how bad the AFC South is. You ready for this?
Yeah.
The Texans are 3-2 in their division. They're 4-11, 3-2 in their own division. They beat the Titans once, and they beat the Jags twice. So they finish up against the Colts next week, so they're probably going to finish 3-3. But that's still horrendous when you finish the year 4-13. Yeah, that you go 3-3 in your own division. Really bad division. So yeah, Niners for me. I'm really thinking about locking the Niners, but it's such a large number I can't.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to remember that, or try and remember that for win totals next year.
Everybody in the South going 2-4 or better, except for the Jags, who are 0-5.
Man, all right. On to the next one. Arizona Cardinals 10-5 on the road to face Dallas Cowboys 11-4. Cowboys here minus 5.5. And I mean, could the momentum on each of these teams be any more different than it is right now? Cardinals lost, I believe, 2 straight. Cowboys, the most dominant game of anyone last Sunday night of the season. So Cowboys minus 5.5. Who do you like?
Are we going to double lock this one?
I'm not locking this one.
Okay, I'm locking the Cowboys. The Cardinals, this is what they do. They're like good for a while, and then they fall apart, and they don't have DeAndre Hopkins, and it's a problem, and they're trying to like make Christian Kirk into DeAndre Hopkins, and he's not, because he's a completely different type of receiver. Cowboys playing great, defense playing great, Kyler playing mediocre to bad, Cliff still Cliff. Love the Cowboys, locking the Cowboys.
I'm taking the Cowboys as well. So you said you are locking them.
Come on, double lock.
No, I don't.
Do it.
No, you want
Double
to jinx
lock.
the Cowboys?
Jeez.
We want the Cowboys to win, and double locking ensures that doesn't happen.
All right.
It's
just impossible.
The thing I have to wonder about, and really makes you, I don't know if it's necessarily a conspiracy, maybe just a theory, is that Kyler gets banged up every season, and he plays super well through October, and in the second half of the season, along with his tenure, Cliff's tenure there, they just fade down the stretch, and I have to wonder how much of that has to do with the wear and tear on Kyler, because he gets banged up. He's always seemingly dealing with an injury, and maybe we just don't hear much about it. Was it last year when he had the shoulder injury, and he came back, and you thought, oh, okay, he's good, but he was clearly limited. He was not healthy, and I wonder if it's the same kind of situation here, and we get the Cardinals dropping another one and just really limping into the playoffs. I got to think at 10 wins that they're at minimum clinching a playoff spot, even if
they've already clinched a spot. They've clinched a spot.
So, I mean, they'll get in there, but man, that's going to be a wet noodle going into the playoffs. So
they've clinched a spot, and they are most likely going to be the 6th seed.
I'm not super crazy about taking a team that looked as good as it could have looked in its last game. But the fact that the Cowboys are at home and it's less than a touchdown. If this was 7.5, I'd have to take the Cardinals.
Yeah.
But Cowboys, especially with Pollard back, I know I don't have to rely on Zeke for 20 rushes.
Yeah.
All right, next game up, Carolina Panthers 5-10 on the road to face New Orleans Saints. Saints here 7-8. Saints -7.5 home favorites. Do you know who the quarterback is going to be?
It's not Ian Book.
If we get Ian Book again, that makes this a lot easier.
Yeah, I'm taking the Panthers if it's Ian Book. Absolutely. So that's where I'm at right now. If it's Trevor Siemian, I'll think about it. But if it's Taysom Hill, I'll take the Saints.
But we've seen Siemian succeed and win at least a game.
Look, man, I'm just saying that I'll think about it. I didn't say that one way or the other. I'll revisit it if it's Siemian. If it's Book, it's Panthers. If it's Siemian, I'll think about it. If it's Hill, Saints.
All right. Man.
Why is this game in the late afternoon, by the way? Just a disaster of a choice.
I mean, does it matter? How many people are really watching this either way?
I just feel bad that there will be a section of the country that will get this game instead of Cardinals-Cowboys.
Well, either way, I'm heavily leaning towards Saints here, but much of that is just
bet the under. If it is Ian Book, bet the under hard.
It's going to be like 34.
Well, I mean, against the Dolphins, it was like 37, and that under came through really easily.
Yeah, but he also had less time to prepare. If he's got another week to prepare, I think they could put a 14.
Look, preparation is one thing, talent's another.
Yeah. I mean, is Notre Dame ever going to have a quarterback that'll win a game again?
At some point, yeah. I mean, the math just says yes.
Yeah, so I'm with you there. If it's Siemian, I'm definitely taking the Saints. If it's Hill, I'm definitely taking the Saints. If it's Book, it's an easy choice. So I'm going to count on one of Siemian, Hill starting, and Cam Newton.
Why are they just flipping quarterbacks just willy-nilly? Just ride one. It's okay.
I don't understand. Cam Newton, first game in, was great. And since then, he's been absolute trash, which is also how he ended last year with the Patriots. Why is he still getting playing time unless you just do not care?
Just to give the Panthers fans the warm and fuzzies.
It's ridiculous. Matt Rule probably should be fired.
Fair enough.
I think you share your dislike. Detroit Lions 2-12-1.
You saw that he compared himself to Jay-Z, right?
No, I did not.
Yeah, because he has a 7-year contract, and he said it took Jay-Z to really take off, and he had to create his own agency first. And it's I think you just kind of shut out the first 3 Jay-Z albums, which were all great and everybody loved. So what are you talking about?
Also, way to say that you need another 3 years of being terrible.
He wants to, he wants to play out his contract.
Yeah. Lions at Seahawks. Seahawks 5-10, -6.5 here. I really don't care.
Seahawks 5-10. They've been outscored by 1 point this year. Been bad luck year for the Seahawks.
Not great. I think if
a lot of close games.
It's just a shame they're really not in the conversation anymore. It's so consistently have they been in the conversation, 10, 12, 11, 12 wins, Russ for MVP, and for them to just not even be close, it's a little disappointing. But who do you like in this one?
I'm just going to take the Lions. I mean, the Seahawks might just kill the Lions. It's very possible this week, but I'm just going to take the Lions. I don't feel great about I don't feel great about either pick here. This is a stay away if you can.
I'll take the Seahawks here. Obviously, very much like the Vikings, I never feel confident that the Seahawks or the Vikings are going to put a team away.
The Seahawks never play a normal game.
Absolutely. So, what kind of way are they going to wait? Or how are they going to screw this game up? I really still don't understand this Lions team. I know they're going to play hard. That's one thing I do take away from this team. And their offensive line is pretty good. Anytime their defensive line, their secondary, their quarterback plays well, it breaks my brain. So I think the Seahawks have one more good game in them. I don't know who they play in Week 18. Probably a division opponent.
They play the Cardinals.
So I think the Seahawks get up one more time, and then they pack it in last week of the season. Or maybe they win to the end of the year, and then the fan base gets a little bit of excitement going into the offseason and lose Pete Carroll anyways. But
is Goff out for the year?
Doesn't matter. I don't know.
If Goff's playing, I like the Lions more.
Okay.
If he's not playing, if we're getting Tim Boyle again, be a problem.
I'm going to lock the Seahawks.
Ooh.
Mainly because we're reaching the end here.
The teams you've locked have a combined 11 wins so far this year.
Is that 3 for me?
That's 2 for you. Washington and the Seahawks.
Nailed it. Sunday night. Oh, man. We've got Kirk Cousins in primetime. We've got Aaron Rodgers in primetime. What's that record equal to? 100% on each side. Kirk Cousins losing. Well, no, he did cover Monday night against the Bears, I believe. Packers are -6.5.
He's I think Kirk's 2-0 in primetime this year.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
He had to have lost one because I'm fairly certain I took him in one primetime and I felt like an idiot.
Hold on. I will figure that out.
Okay, well, don't sweat too much about it. I'm taking the Vikings here. Packers.
Hold on. Here we go. They beat the Bears 17-9. They won on Thursday night against Pittsburgh 36-28.
That's right.
And then was this game also was the previous Vikings-Packers game on Sunday night? It was not. I know there's a third one, so just continue.
I'm taking the Vikings here. The Packers haven't been able to put anybody away. The Vikings have been up, or I don't know if that stat is still relevant.
They lost to the Cowboys by 4.
Okay. But the Vikings have been in almost every single game. So the fact that they will keep this close, the Packers can't help but keep it close. 6.5. I think the Vikings have a strong chance of winning this game and maybe breaking everyone's brain in the narrative of Kirk Cousins in primetime and Aaron Rodgers in primetime. So give me the Vikings plus 6.5. Gross.
15 of their 16 games have been decided by 8 or fewer.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you take a stab as to who they beat by more than 8 points?
I mean, the Bears?
NFC team. No, they've only played the Bears once.
Are you talking about the Vikings or the Packers?
Yes, the Vikings.
The Lions. I don't know.
Seahawks, 30-17. They lost to the Lions, man.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
They tied the Lions in points. They won by 2 and lost by 2.
That may end up coming to be the difference maker in them making the playoffs, right? Because if they win this one and they win next week, that's 9-8, which is a fringe playoff team.
And I think that first game, the Lions went for 2 and got it with 40 seconds to go, and then gave up a field goal as time expired. So tough. I'm taking the Vikings too, just because they only play games decided by 1 score or less. Too many points.
All right.
Packers cannot put away anyone. They've allowed 2 backdoor covers the last 2 weeks.
Last game of the weekend, Monday night. Not an awful one. That is not Miami, New Orleans. Hopefully, assuming COVID doesn't hit these teams.
I mean, neither of these teams is making the playoffs, so.
I mean, if either of these win 2 straight, there's got to be a chance.
I mean, yeah, they have to win out, but they need like the Bengals to lose out and other things to happen.
Well, considering the Bengals play the Chiefs, that could leave the door open.
Yeah, I think we have Cincinnati, Cleveland next week. I think.
Okay. Browns at Steelers. Steelers here plus 2.5. Who do you like?
I can't quit the Steelers. I'm just going to take the Steelers. Defense too much for Baker. Baker's bad and injured. It's not good. So I'll take the Steelers. I hate this pick, but that's where I'm at.
Despite this being a somewhat probably good game, I really don't want to touch it because Big Ben looked horrendous last week. And he didn't look really particularly well against the Titans the week before, but they still won. So I'm going to take the Browns here minus 2.5. I mean, Baker probably needs to just take the rest of the season off. I wish somebody would tell me why Case Keenum, who is a somewhat...
That's how bad he is.
But
or maybe the Browns are trying to show, like, hey, fan base, Baker, not the future.
Baker threw 4 interceptions. You telling me at some point last week that it didn't make sense to just bring in Keenum? That's the thing I couldn't understand is, like, if Baker is really that injured, why is he playing over somebody who fully healthy should probably be better? Or the thing is like, if Baker is healthy enough to play, why is he so bad? Like, I can't justify it. So
I understand.
I'm going to bank on the Browns.
Look, Steelers can't stop the run, so that's going to help you out.
Yeah, go figure. So that's what I'm going to bank on that. I'm going to bank on not 4 interceptions from Baker, and I'm going to lock the Browns.
Oh, boy. Okay. I've gone back and locked the Bills.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I'm going to be thinking about the Monday night game all week for sure. I'll probably end up flipping to the Browns at some point.
Yeah, you will.
All right. So, locks, you've got Washington, the Seahawks, and the Browns. I've got the Chefs, Cowboys, and Bills. Literally couldn't be more opposite. You have 3 bad teams. I have 3 great teams.
I think this might be the most split we've been across the board in a while.
We were pretty much in agreement from late afternoon on.
Were we? I feel like
we both have the Chargers, we both have the Niners, we both have the Cowboys, we both tentatively have the Panthers. We split Lions and Seahawks. We both have the Vikings, then we split Monday night. So right. I mean, so we're somewhere around 8-8 difference. Okay. Dog of 3.5 or more to win outright.
Give me Washington.
Who you got?
Washington.
Wow. Just going to go all in on that one.
Yeah.
So I'm toying around with going back-to-back with the Dolphins, which I know you really hate.
Why do I hate that?
That a team has a dog of 3.5 or more to win on the road twice in 2 weeks. Even I guess they kicked off as the favorite last week.
I don't care. Do what you want.
I mean, yeah. If we get Ian Book, I'll probably switch to the Panthers.
Yeah.
But I got the Dolphins for right now.
Okay.
High scoring team. Go ahead.
I will take. I'll take the Niners.
Okay. I'm gonna take the. Gosh, do I want Bucks, Pats, or Bills? I'm gonna take the Bills. Okay, I need a weekly bet out of you. Mine is Trevor Lawrence 3+ interceptions at Bill Belichick.
Oh man, the negative ones are the worst. It's try and put some positive thoughts out there. Let me go. 49ers 250 yards rushing. Team rushing.
Woo, that's a lot. Okay. There we go. Week 17, not the final week of the year.
All right. Anything else?
I don't think so, man. I mean, we kind of just quit doing Survivor, but...
Well, because you won Survivor League, so kudos to you. And then there was
I know, but we just kind of quit. It was kind of something we always did, and then we just kind of quit.
Do you want to pick one this week? I feel like a fake trying to pick these when I could easily double up on a previous pick, and
I know that's the problem is we're no longer like keeping track.
Right.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get out of here. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at TPP Sweet Lou. Kyle is at KVerska7. Hit the thumbs up, ring the bell for more content as we'll keep going. Pick 'em even through the Super Bowl, probably. At the very least through next week. And then, of course, football doesn't stop after that. And then, what else is there? You can email us at 3pointplaypodcast@gmail.com. Any questions, comments, love letters to Kyle. We take it all. Other than that, good luck this weekend, Kyle, and seize the card.
Lewis, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody watching.
Happy New Year.
And yeah, thanks for watching. We'll be back.